The Valkyrie Empire did not wage war the way other civilizations did. They did not send fleets to bombard planets. They did not announce invasions or demand surrender. Their victories were quiet, precise, and terrifyingly efficient. Entire governments collapsed overnight. Military leaders vanished from locked rooms. Strategic defenses failed before battles even began. The reason was simple. The Valkyrie possessed the most advanced stealth assassins in the known galaxy. These operatives were not merely soldiers. They were masterpieces of biological engineering. Their bodies bent light around them, rendering them invisible across the full electromagnetic spectrum. They produced no heat signature, no detectable radiation, and no sound as they moved. Their internal chemistry neutralized every trace molecule that might betray their presence. No camera could see them. No radar could track them. No sensor could detect them. Across centuries, Valkyrie assassins had removed emperors, admirals, scientists, and even entire royal bloodlines without leaving a single clue behind. Some species believed the Valkyrie could literally become ghosts. Others believed resistance was pointless. When humanity first appeared on the Galactic Council stage, the Valkyrie were unimpressed. Humans had no telepathic communication, no electroreceptive organs, no natural armor plating, no advanced biological weapons. Their sensory range was considered mediocre at best. They relied heavily on sight and hearing, two senses that Valkyrie stealth technology had long ago mastered. Humans were categorized as tactically creative but biologically unimpressive, predictable, and therefore vulnerable. Tensions began when human diplomats refused Valkyrie economic guidance in outer colony development. The refusal was polite, but firm. Humanity would not allow foreign influence over its expansion routes. To the Valkyrie, this was unacceptable defiance from a species barely new to interstellar politics. A demonstration was required. Quiet, precise, final. The Valkyrie High Command authorized deployment of a single stealth operative. Assassin Unit X-17. One unit was always enough. X-17 was among the most advanced constructs ever created by Valkyrie bioengineers. Its adaptive dermal layers refracted surrounding photons, effectively erasing its visual presence. Specialized glands absorbed thermal output, dispersing energy through subspace catalytic reactions. Microfield distortions cancelled sound vibrations before they could propagate through air. Even quantum detection grids failed to register its existence. Its mission target was a human military strategist known as General Mora Vance. According to Valkyrie intelligence reports, General Vance had predicted 3 separate border conflicts months before they occurred. She had reorganized human defense fleets using pattern recognition models that rivaled advanced machine cognition. Her removal would destabilize human strategic coordination for decades. Mission success probability: 99.998%. Insertion began during Earth's nocturnal cycle over a mountainous forest region housing a classified military compound. X-17's descent pod pierced the atmosphere inside a refractive distortion bubble that scattered incoming light into harmless spectrums. To external observers, the night sky remained undisturbed. The pod opened silently several kilometers from the target. X-17 emerged into cold air filled with organic particulates, oxygen, nitrogen, water vapor, microscopic pollen. Primitive planetary chemistry. Irrelevant. The assassin moved forward without disturbing a single branch. Its mass distribution systems adjusted dynamically, ensuring no footprint pressure exceeded natural environmental variation. Even sensitive seismic arrays would register nothing unusual. The forest remained calm. No birds took flight. No insects scattered. No leaves rustled. Perfection. The compound lay ahead, concealed within reinforced stone structures embedded into the mountainside. Multiple surveillance systems scanned the surrounding terrain, but X-17 passed through overlapping sensor fields undetected. Inside the compound, General Moravance studied tactical projections displayed across a curved holographic interface. Red markers indicated hypothetical threat vectors across nearby star systems. Her assistant spoke mid-briefing when she suddenly raised her hand. "Stop!" The room fell silent. General Vance tilted her head slightly. Her brow tightened. She inhaled slowly. Then again. Something felt wrong. Not visually. Not audibly. Instinctively. "There's something strange," she said quietly. Her officers exchanged uncertain glances. "Ma'am, all perimeter sensors show normal conditions." General Vance continued inhaling subtly, searching for the sensation again. There. Faint. Sharp. Unfamiliar. A scent that did not belong. Outside, several kilometers away, a dog began barking loudly into the darkness. Then another joined. Within moments, a chain of distant barking echoed through the forest. X-17 paused mid-step. Animals reacting was not predicted behavior. Probability recalculations began instantly. Inside the compound, General Vance stood from her station. "Lock down ventilation channels," she ordered calmly. Her staff hesitated. "Ma'am, why?" She inhaled once more. The strange scent lingered faintly in the air. Cold. Metallic. Alien. "Because," she said quietly, "we are not alone." Valkyrie science had catalogued the sensory capabilities of over 4,000 intelligent species across explored space. Their records contained detailed neural maps, evolutionary histories, and biochemical models explaining how each species perceived its environment. Some species could sense electromagnetic fluctuations directly through specialized organs embedded beneath translucent skin. Others communicated through low-frequency vibrations that traveled through planetary crusts. Several aquatic civilizations navigated by detecting subtle changes in water salinity or pressure gradients across enormous distances. Compared to these remarkable abilities, humans seemed unimpressive. Their eyesight functioned within a narrow band of the electromagnetic spectrum. Their hearing detected only a limited frequency range. Their skin lacked protective armor, their reflex speeds were average, and they possessed no natural telepathic communication abilities. On paper, humanity ranked as biologically ordinary, even inferior in some respects. But Valkyrie evaluations contained one overlooked anomaly. Humans possessed an unusually complex olfactory system. Smell. The Valkyrie had considered olfactory perception inefficient due to environmental variability. Air currents, humidity fluctuations, and molecular decay rates made scent unreliable compared to electromagnetic detection technologies. Why rely on airborne chemistry when advanced sensors could provide absolute certainty? Because of this assumption, Valkyrie stealth engineers had focused entirely on eliminating traditional detection signatures. Heat emission was neutralized through quantum catalytic dispersal layers. Sound production was suppressed using microfield vibration cancellation. Electromagnetic reflections were bent around the operative's body through adaptive photonic skin. Every measurable output was accounted for. Every known detection method was defeated. Every known method, except one. The exotic energy compounds powering the assassin's cloaking membrane produced trace molecular byproducts during atmospheric interaction. These particles existed at concentrations so small that Valkyrie instruments considered them statistically irrelevant. Parts per trillion. Impossible for most species to detect. But humans had evolved in chemically dense ecosystems filled with organic decay, plant pheromones, and airborne microorganisms. For hundreds of thousands of years, early humans relied on scent to identify predators hidden in tall grasses, to track wounded prey through forests, and to determine which foods were safe to consume. Their survival had depended on interpreting complex airborne chemical patterns. Modern humans often underestimated this ability. Their brains processed scent subconsciously, triggering instinctive reactions before conscious recognition occurred. General Moira Vance did not initially understand what she smelled, only that something was wrong. The odor did not resemble any familiar chemical compound stored within military hazard databases. It reminded her vaguely of overheated circuitry combined with organic sweetness, like burnt metal mixed with decaying fruit. Unnatural. Out of place. Predatory. Inside the mountain compound, environmental control systems maintained constant air filtration to ensure optimal working conditions for personnel and equipment. Air composition remained stable, monitored continuously by automated sensors. Yet the unfamiliar scent persisted. Subtle, elusive, disturbing. General Vance turned to her operations officer. "Run a full atmospheric analysis," she said calmly. "Focus on anomalies below standard detection thresholds." The officer hesitated only briefly before issuing commands through the central system interface. Air sampling protocols activated immediately. Microscopic filters began collecting airborne particulates for spectrographic analysis. Across the base, soldiers began noticing the same faint sensation. A technician paused while calibrating communications equipment. "Does anyone else smell that?" A security officer sniffed cautiously. "Yeah. Something chemical." Another soldier frowned. "Like burned plastic." Reports began appearing across internal communication channels. Unidentified odor detected in corridor sectors B and C. Trace chemical presence reported near ventilation shaft junction. Unfamiliar scent detected in command wing. None of the personnel could see anything unusual. No alarms had triggered. No sensors reported intrusions. Yet instinctively, they felt watched. Across the forest perimeter, Unit X-17 continued its silent approach. Its internal processors detected elevated human movement patterns inside the compound. Reaction speed exceeded predictive models. Unexpected variable identified. Human sensory awareness activated prematurely. X-17 accessed Valkyrie intelligence archives searching for explanation. Thousands of biological profiles loaded instantly. One category flagged with minimal priority classification. Olfactory sensitivity. Above average relative to galactic median. Risk factor. Negligible. Probability of detection through airborne molecular trace. Statistically insignificant. And yet, the human response was accelerating. Inside the compound laboratory, automated analyzers completed their first spectral breakdown of collected air samples. The results displayed unfamiliar molecular structures. Atomic arrangements not matching any known terrestrial compound. Exotic chemical bonds requiring energy states rarely observed in natural planetary environments. The technician reviewing the results felt a chill run down his spine. He immediately forwarded the data to General Vance. She studied the readout silently. Unknown compound. Non-terrestrial origin. Airborne distribution pattern. Her instincts sharpened instantly. She spoke with calm authority. Seal external air exchange systems. Activate internal containment protocol. Prepare biological hazard teams. Her officers obeyed without hesitation, because even without visual confirmation, something alien had already entered their world, and humanity had smelled it first. Unit X. 17 did not experience fear the way biological organisms did. It did not feel adrenaline, nor did its thoughts race in panic. Instead, its processors registered deviations from predictive models, recalculated probabilities, and adjusted operational parameters with perfect efficiency. But something unprecedented was happening. Human behavioral patterns were diverging sharply from all Valkyrie projections. Inside the mountain facility, response time had accelerated far beyond expected thresholds. Security teams moved with coordination that implied awareness of a threat they could neither see nor hear. And yet, they were reacting correctly. X. 17 paused within the narrow confines of an external ventilation shaft carved deep into the mountainside. Its cloaking membranes continued bending surrounding light, ensuring complete visual erasure. Thermal suppression layers kept its body temperature indistinguishable from ambient air currents. No camera observed its presence. No motion sensor triggered. Still, human defensive posture intensified. Through microvibration sensors embedded in its dermal surface, X. 17 detected increased human foot traffic. Doors sealed in rapid sequence across the installation. Atmospheric pressure regulators activated in multiple sectors, subtly altering airflow patterns. Containment measures. Humans were not merely reacting. They were adapting. X. 17 accessed real-time intelligence feeds gathered from intercepted human communications. Internal military channels buzzed with short, urgent messages. Unidentified airborne compound detected near central corridor. Trace anomaly confirmed in ventilation network. Recommend localized atmospheric lockdown. Even more concerning were repeated references to the same concept. Smell. Humans were using olfactory perception as a detection vector. The Valkyrie had never encountered a species capable of detecting cloaked operatives through airborne chemistry alone. Most intelligent civilizations had long abandoned reliance on biological scent perception, replacing it with technological sensors far more precise and consistent. But humans had retained the ancient ability, and now they were weaponizing it. Within the compound, General Moravance stood inside the command center studying a three-dimensional structural map of the base. Thin lines representing airflow pathways glowed faint blue across the holographic display. She pointed toward a junction connecting several ventilation shafts. "If I were something trying to move unseen," she said calmly, "I would use the air circulation network." Her chief engineer nodded grimly. Air sampling units are already reporting unusual molecular concentrations along that path. Another officer spoke cautiously. "Ma'am, we still have no visual confirmation of any intruder." General Vance's expression remained focused. "We don't need to see it," she replied. "We only need to understand where it is likely to move." She issued new instructions. Deploy portable chemical analyzers to all ventilation junctions. Seal non-essential airflow routes. And instruct personnel to report any unfamiliar odors immediately. Across the facility, soldiers obeyed. Small handheld detection devices were retrieved from storage and recalibrated to register even the faintest molecular irregularities. Though originally designed for hazardous material containment scenarios, the devices proved surprisingly effective when tuned to identify the unknown airborne signature. Within minutes, a pattern emerged. Concentration gradients increased steadily toward the western wing of the compound. Triangulation, localization, tracking, all performed without visual confirmation. X-17's internal calculations registered a rising probability of mission compromise. Human adaptability exceeded prior intelligence estimates by a significant margin. Still, termination of the target remained viable. Adjusting trajectory, X-17 altered its path through the ventilation system, carefully minimizing interaction with circulating air currents. Its locomotion algorithms modified pressure distribution patterns to reduce particulate disturbance. Every movement became slower, more precise, more deliberate. Yet the humans continued closing in. A maintenance technician paused near a ventilation grate, frowning slightly. "You smell that again?" he asked quietly. Another worker nodded. "Stronger here." Within seconds, coordinates were transmitted to command. General Vance observed the updated data points appearing across her display. The pattern shifted as the unknown presence attempted evasion. She almost smiled. "It's moving," she said. Her officers exchanged uneasy looks. "You mean the intruder?" General Vance nodded. "And whatever it is, it doesn't realize we can follow it." Back inside the ventilation shaft, X-17 processed new variables. Human tracking behavior exhibited characteristics similar to predator pursuit strategies documented in Earth's evolutionary history. Persistence hunting, environmental awareness, pattern prediction. These humans were not panicking. They were hunting. For the first time in recorded Velcari operational history, a stealth assassin encountered prey capable of detection without technology, without visual confirmation, without sound, only instinct, only scent. Mission success probability dropped below 80%, then 70%, then lower. For an intelligence designed to operate in certainty, uncertainty itself became a destabilizing factor, because the perfect hunter had just encountered something entirely unexpected, prey that could sense the unseen, and refused to run. The realization spread through the Velcari command network like a silent alarm. Multiple assassin units operating across different human territories began transmitting similar anomaly reports. Mission timelines were shortening. Human defensive responses were triggering far earlier than predicted models allowed. Carefully constructed infiltration routes were being compromised by something the Velcari had never considered a credible threat. Biology. Ancient, imperfect, unpredictable biology. On Earth, General Vance wasted no time turning instinct into strategy. Within hours of the initial detection, specialized scientific teams began isolating the unknown airborne compounds collected from ventilation filters. High-resolution spectrometers mapped the atomic arrangements of the alien molecules, revealing chemical structures not present anywhere in Earth's natural environment. The molecules exhibited unusual bonding angles, stabilized by energy states that required exotic catalytic reactions. Their decay patterns suggested interaction with a technology far beyond conventional propulsion or shielding systems. The conclusion became unavoidable. The scent was not biological in origin. It was technological exhaust. Somewhere inside the mountain complex, an advanced system was operating, one that leaked microscopic chemical traces as a byproduct of maintaining invisibility. Human scientists immediately began simulating how those particles dispersed through atmospheric conditions. Computational airflow models mapped how trace molecules traveled through corridors, stairwells, and ventilation channels. Patterns emerged. Invisible movement left invisible trails. But the trails were not undetectable. They simply required the right sense to perceive. General Vance addressed the research team directly. "If it leaves a trail," she said calmly, "we follow the trail." Emergency engineering teams began modifying portable environmental scanners, recalibrating sensitivity thresholds far beyond standard safety limits. Equipment originally designed to detect toxic industrial leaks was repurposed to identify the alien molecular signature. At the same time, human soldiers underwent rapid training. They were instructed to trust instinctive reactions. If something smelled unusual, they reported it immediately. Within the enclosed environment of the mountain facility, a detailed chemical map began forming in real time. Data points fed into predictive algorithms, allowing analysts to anticipate likely movement paths based on airflow physics and structural design. The assassin remained unseen, but no longer untracked. Inside the ventilation network, Unit X-17 recognized a dramatic shift in human behavior. The prey had transformed into coordinated observers, systematically narrowing possible infiltration routes. Every attempt at evasion triggered new environmental adjustments. Air circulation systems slowed. Pressure gradients changed. Access corridors sealed automatically. Humans were reshaping their environment to reduce uncertainty. The assassin's cloaking system remained flawless against electromagnetic detection, but its exotic power source continued releasing trace molecular signatures with every micro-adjustment of its adaptive skin. Signatures humans were now actively searching for. For the first time, Valkyrie's stealth superiority encountered an evolutionary countermeasure millions of years in development. Humans had evolved in ecosystems filled with hidden dangers, predators concealed by foliage, prey masked by terrain, food sources disguised among toxic imitations. Survival required interpreting incomplete information. A snapped twig, a shifted shadow, a scent carried on the wind. Long before humanity invented machines capable of analyzing atmospheric chemistry, their brains had already become sophisticated pattern recognition engines. And now that ancient ability was being integrated with modern technology. Portable chemical sensors began appearing across every human defensive installation. Early warning systems were upgraded to include atmospheric anomaly detection protocols. Even civilian infrastructure adopted trace molecular monitoring in high-security areas. What Valkyrie scientists had dismissed as a primitive sense became a strategic advantage impossible to eliminate without redesigning the entire stealth architecture of their assassins. Across multiple star systems, Valkyrie Command reviewed incoming failure reports. Human detection times continued decreasing. Escape success probabilities continued falling. One by one, missions were aborted. Not because humans could see the assassins, but because humans could sense them. A capability the Valkyrie could not easily replicate. Their own biology lacked advanced olfactory receptors. Their technological focus had evolved in sterile atmospheric environments where chemical variation held little significance. They had optimized for energy efficiency and sensory precision. Humans had optimized for survival, and survival often favored redundancy. Multiple imperfect senses working together proved more resilient than a single perfect one. General Vance observed updated tracking data as the invisible intruder attempted another route adjustment. She spoke quietly, almost thoughtfully. "Evolution rarely wastes effort," she said. "Sometimes the oldest tools remain useful the longest." Across the galaxy, Valkyrie leadership began considering an uncomfortable possibility. Their greatest advantage had never truly been perfect. They had simply never encountered a species capable of noticing the flaw. Until now, humanity had discovered the invisible carried a scent. And once identified, that scent could never again be ignored. By the time Unit X-17 attempted its final maneuver inside the mountain facility, the mission was no longer proceeding according to Valkyrie doctrine. Every projection model had collapsed. Every predictive certainty had eroded. The assassin remained unseen, perfectly cloaked against cameras, motion detectors, and electromagnetic sensors. Yet its presence was now mapped across the base with increasing precision through the chemical traces it could not fully suppress. For the first time in recorded Valkyrie history, a stealth operative had become strategically disadvantaged without ever being visually detected. Inside the command center, General Moravance studied the updated airflow model projected above the tactical table. Soft lines of shifting color displayed concentration gradients of the alien molecular signature as they dispersed through the facility's ventilation system. The pattern revealed movement with surprising clarity. "He's trying to reach the central command sector," her operations officer observed quietly. General Vance nodded. "Which means it believes removing leadership will cause confusion." Another officer asked cautiously, "Ma'am, what exactly are we dealing with?" General Vance paused briefly before answering. "Something that assumed we would rely entirely on machines to notice danger." She looked across the room at her team of scientists and soldiers. "And something that underestimated how humans evolved." Containment teams moved carefully through sealed corridors, guided by handheld molecular detectors emitting soft rhythmic pulses. The devices did not show images or silhouettes, only fluctuating concentration readings of unfamiliar airborne chemistry. The invisible intruder left a path like a fading echo, and humans followed. X-17 attempted multiple countermeasures. It slowed metabolic output to reduce chemical emission. It adjusted cloaking energy distribution patterns to minimize molecular interaction with surrounding air. It even paused for extended periods, calculating whether complete immobility might allow trace signatures to dissipate. But human environmental controls prevented dispersal. Airflow patterns were being manipulated deliberately. Containment protocols ensured the scent remained trapped within localized sectors. The humans were not merely detecting the assassin. They were controlling the environment to restrict its options. Predictive models now indicated a critical shift. Probability of mission success below 40%. Probability of forced extraction or termination rising rapidly. Within Valkyrie command networks, strategic analysts reviewed the unfolding situation with growing concern. Reports from other human-controlled systems confirmed similar detection patterns. Assassins operating across multiple colonies were encountering early defensive responses triggered solely by human sensory awareness. An entire stealth doctrine faced collapse. For centuries, invisibility had guaranteed dominance. Now invisibility alone was insufficient. General Vance issued the final directive calmly. "Isolate Sector 7. Reduce airflow velocity by 30%. Deploy aerosol neutralization mist." Scientists had discovered that certain harmless particulate dispersions interacted with the alien molecules, causing temporary clustering effects that increased detectability. A faint shimmering haze formed within the corridor as microscopic particles bonded with the exotic chemical traces. For the briefest moment, a subtle distortion appeared in the air, not visible in the traditional sense, but perceptible, like heat rippling above hot metal. Containment teams froze. One soldier raised the handheld analyzer slowly. The readings spiked. The intruder's position became undeniable. X-17 calculated final probabilities. Escape remained possible. Mission completion did not. Valkyrie doctrine prioritized long-term strategic advantage over single-target elimination. Withdrawal sequence initiated. Moments later, the molecular concentration began dissipating as the assassin retreated through the same hidden pathways it had entered. Unseen, unheard, but no longer unstoppable. Within days, human research facilities had fully documented the exotic chemical signature produced by Valkyrie stealth technology. Atmospheric monitoring networks were upgraded across major colonies, incorporating molecular anomaly detection systems alongside traditional sensor arrays. Stealth warfare across the galaxy changed overnight. Other species expressed disbelief. Highly advanced civilizations possessing telepathic networks and quantum detection fields had failed to detect Valkyrie infiltrators for generations. Yet humans succeeded using a sense often dismissed as primitive. General Vance later addressed the Galactic Council during a secure transmission. Technology often makes species forget why their biology evolved the way it did, she stated. Humans survived predators long before we built machines. We learned to notice what didn't belong. Her message spread rapidly across interstellar communication channels. Military strategists began reassessing assumptions about human capability. Evolutionary biology became a renewed field of interest across multiple civilizations, and Valkyrie Command quietly suspended all assassination operations targeting human-controlled systems. Because perfection, they learned, is always relative. A weakness invisible to one species may be obvious to another. Across the stars, a new advisory circulated through intelligence networks. Human sensory perception should never be underestimated, because sometimes the most ancient instincts remain the hardest to defeat. And somewhere within Valkyrie strategic archives, a new variable was permanently added to all future projections. Humans notice what others ignore, even when the danger cannot be seen, even when the danger makes no sound, even when the danger believes itself invisible. If humans say something smells wrong, it probably is.